Welcome back. So what is HTML? Well, literally put, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. But don't let those words intimidate or worry you. HTML is nothing but a standardized list of tags that everyone uses to present content for their web pages. In fact, HTML is so easy to learn, the only tools you'll need for this course are a text editor and a modern web browser. I'll actually be showing you two text editors in this course. The first one is very basic and will only be used for demonstration purposes in this video. The second one will be our primary tool going forward. As mentioned, you can use any modern web browser, but if you'd like to follow along step by step with me, I strongly recommend using Google Chrome. The easiest way for me to teach you HTML is to simply start showing it to you. So here is an overly simplistic example of the obligatory Hello World site coded in HTML. A couple of points to notice. First, the HTML tag is nothing but an opening angle bracket followed by the keyword HTML or H1 and then a closing angle bracket. The opening tag is usually followed by some sort of content and then closed by a closing tag. The only difference between a closing tag and an opening tag is that the closing tag has a / immediately following the opening angle bracket. Also note that HTML follows a first in, last out approach. In other words, the HTML tag itself will be one of the first things you ever start typing on a page. The closing HTML tag will be one of the last tags you ever type on a page as well. Everything inside these tags is in fact HTML, so it makes sense that we nest everything inside the HTML tags. Notice that we follow the same pattern here with the H1 tag. You'll soon learn what the H1 tag is, but for now, just notice that it surrounds the word we want to actually make a headline. Now that you've seen the very basic syntax of HTML, let's walk through creating this example ourselves. So because I'm on a Mac, I'm going to launch the default text editor, which is TextEdit. If I was on a PC, I'd use Notepad. Just keep in mind that Microsoft Word or Apple Pages will definitely not work. Those are word processors, not text editors. There is a difference. The other thing you need to know is that TextEdit is going to try something called rich text formatting. That won't work either. So if you're using a Mac and you launch TextEdit and you see the ability to change the color, font size, anything like that, you're going to want to go to Format and then Make Plain Text. Now let's go ahead and do the example that we saw on the slide. So I'm going to do an open bracket, HTML, and a close bracket. We're going to hit Enter, space over 2, open a bracket, do H1, close the bracket, and then put the words Hello World with an exclamation point. Then I'm going to close that H1 tag. And again, we're going to cover headers in the HTML tags and all of that later on. The important thing is just for you to see the syntax here. So I'm going to hit Enter and close the HTML tag. Once again, anytime you want to see an opening tag, it's just two brackets surrounding the keyword we use to create the tag. A closing tag is set apart as it has the slash between the opening bracket and the actual keyword itself. Now that you understand that, let's go ahead and come up here and hit File and then Save. We're going to label this as index.html, and I want to choose to save it to my desktop. TextEdit is asking me if I want to use the default .txt format or if I'm sure I want to use .html. I'm absolutely positive I want to use .html. Once it's saved to my desktop, I can simply double-click to launch it, or I can right-click and choose Open With. If Google Chrome is not my default browser, I could choose Google Chrome from that list. But since it's my default browser, I'm just going to double-click on it, and we see Hello World. Our first website has been successfully created. If I wanted to confirm the source code for this, I could simply right-click, go View Page Source, and here we see the exact source code I used to create the first website, Hello World. I'm going to go ahead and use Command W to close that particular source code tab, and we're back to our big beautiful Hello World in headline text. Let's flip back over to the text editor and change Hello World from being an H1 tag to simply a paragraph tag. So that means we change the opening tag to just an open bracket, the letter P, and a closing bracket. And because we set off an opening paragraph tag, we need to change the closing tag as well. I'm going to use a Command S to quickly save the file, toggle back to Chrome, and use Command R to refresh. And now we see the phrase Hello World has changed from being a headline to just a standard paragraph. That's the difference between headlines and paragraphs. Headlines take on a naturally heavier weight and bigger, bolder letters, whereas paragraph text is usually just normal, standard-looking text. While we're here, I'd like to point out a couple of shortcuts I'm going to use throughout the course to make things go by a little bit faster and make life a lot easier for you. Learning these shortcuts will make you a much faster web developer. Whenever I want to refresh the screen in the Chrome browser, I'm going to use Command R. I'm not actually going to click this little refresh button up here because I don't know where my mouse is. It could take me longer to move it all the way across the screen. Likewise, when I'm changing things in my text editor, if I want to change this back to an H1 tag and decide to save it, I'm not going to hit File and then Save. I'm going to actually use the Command S shortcut. So here I am holding down the Command key and tapping the S once. I see that the file is saved. I can toggle back to my browser, and instead of hitting the refresh button, I'm going to use a Command R. Now we have the H1 back. So as a refresher, when I'm in my Chrome browser, Command R will do the refreshing, and when I'm in my text editor, Command S will do the saving. There's another problem we're running into though. This is kind of a plain Jane text editor. There's no autofill of text, there's no visual indications if I type something wrong. It's just not a very good way to go about developing for the web. There's a much better and free to try text editor out there that I want to introduce you to. It's called Sublime Text. Toggle back to your browser, open a new tab, and go to www.sublimetext.com. When it pops up, click the download link from the top navigation and choose the version that best fits your operating system. The download will kick off, and once it completes, follow the installation instructions to get Sublime 2 installed on your system. Then go ahead and launch it. Your screen should now look something very similar to this. In the lower right-hand corner, click the word plain text and choose HTML. We do this to tell Sublime that we're going to start typing HTML, and one of the big benefits of that is text expansion. So that means I can type HTML, hit Tab, and it automatically generates some brand new HTML tags for me. Now a lot of these we will cover very soon, but for right now I want to get them out of the way so we can focus on redoing our example. So I'm going to only keep the opening HTML tag and closing HTML tag. Now once again we're going to create an H1 tab. So I'll space over twice, type H1, and then hit Tab to automatically create my H1 tags. I'm going to type Hello World, throw in an exclamation point, and then I'm going to do a Command S. I'm going to save this as index_o2.html and save it to the desktop. I'm going to use Command H to hide Sublime, and there's index02.html. Fire that up and you'll see the obligatory Hello World there. Let's go back to Sublime and take a look at another key feature. As I type this tag, if I miskey something, you'll see that the next line down automatically changes colors. That's a great way for me to visually see that I've done something incorrect and can automatically fix it as I go. Notepad did not offer that to us. That's another great thing about Sublime Text. Once again, it's built for web developers, so there's a lot of common sense baked right in. So now that we understand some of the key features of Sublime, and why we would use that over, say, Notepad or TextEdit, let's look at some of those tags that we skipped over before and why they're important. I'm going to use Command A to select everything, and then just hit backspace. Then I'm going to type HTML and hit Tab. Let's take a look at some of these new tags. First we have the head tag, then the title tag, then the body tag. Every proper HTML site has all of these tags included in it. We just skipped over some of them to show you a quick Hello World example. Let's take a look at the head tag first. The head tag is usually reserved for metadata, things like including external JavaScript sheets or style sheets, and the only thing that it can really impact in terms of what the user sees is the title tag. That's why it's nested inside the head tag. If I put the title of Hello World up here and hit save, and then we come back to index02 and refresh it, you'll notice the Hello World is gone because we didn't include any H1s or paragraphs or anything to actually show content on the page. But if you notice up here in the tab, the title for the tab itself or the title for the website has become Hello World. That's where the title tag actually comes into play. That's the only real change you can make that actually shows up in the web browser. Everything else is done within the body tags. So if I want to bring that H1 back, I'll go inside the body tag, space over twice, do H1, hit Tab, then put in Hello World here. I'll save it, go back to the browser and refresh, and our Hello World has returned. So once again, the Hello World that is in big bold letters is coming to us courtesy of the H1 tag that's actually inside the body tag. Any content we put on the actual web page itself should be nested within the body tags. The title for the tab, Hello World up here, comes from this title tag, and anything we want to hook up externally or change about the browser itself happens inside the head section. Going forward, understand that every site you create will have HTML tags at the top and bottom. Inside those HTML tags, we'll break the website into two parts, the head section, and the body section. Anytime we're dealing with metadata or changes to the browser title, it's going to happen in the head section. Anytime we're actually creating content that will be displayed on the web page itself, will be in the body section. Most of the tags we learn going forward will actually end up inside the body section as they are content-driven tags. In the next video, I'll show you how to set up the layout of your website using div and span tags and the difference between those two. Thanks for watching.